The screaming of a chaotic emergency room was nothing compared to the roar of incoming artillery. When trauma alarms shrieked, civilian nurses braced for panic. Doctors shouted orders. Families cried. Patients begged for help. Fiona Hastings simply checked her pulse. St. Jude Medical Center in downtown Chicago was a grinder of human misery on Friday nights. The emergency department smelled perpetually of bleach, stale coffee, antiseptic wipes, and the metallic scent of blood. The fluorescent lights never seemed bright enough, and the noise never truly stopped. Monitors beeped, stretchers rattled, phones rang. Someone was always yelling. It was the kind of environment that broke seasoned medical professionals, chewing them up and spitting them out with hollow eyes and frayed nerves. To Fiona, it felt almost peaceful. At 32, she was the oldest rookie nurse on the floor. Her dirty blonde hair was pulled into a severe bun. Oversized scrubs hid the athletic build beneath them and concealed the network of white scars that crossed her ribs, shoulder, and back. She moved quietly, spoke softly, and never drew attention to herself. Most of the staff assumed she was shy. A few assumed she was incompetent. Neither was true. Hastings. The voice cracked across the nurse's station like a whip. Dr. Harrison Miller stormed toward her carrying a clipboard. Young, ambitious, and convinced he was the smartest person in every room, Miller had developed a reputation for making everyone around him miserable. The clipboard slapped onto the counter beside Fiona's charting notes. "Are you deaf or just incompetent?" he demanded. The surrounding nurses immediately looked away. Nobody wanted to get caught in the blast radius. "I asked for a 12-lead EKG and a chemistry panel on bed 10 minutes ago." Miller leaned forward. "If you can't handle the pace of a real trauma center, Hastings, maybe you should transfer to a suburban dermatology clinic. People actually die here." The station fell silent. Fiona didn't react, didn't flinch, didn't raise her voice. She simply looked up from her computer. "I apologize, Dr. Miller," she said quietly. "The EKG was completed 8 minutes ago and uploaded to the patient's chart. The phlebotomist is drawing blood now." She paused. "I prioritized the case because the patient's radial pulse felt weak and thready during intake." For a moment, Miller looked confused, then embarrassed. The information was correct. He opened the chart and found exactly what she had described. A few nurses exchanged amused glances. Miller's face reddened. "Just stay out of my way," he muttered before spinning around and stalking off toward a group of residents. The tension immediately dissolved. Brenda Walsh, a charge nurse with 30 years of emergency room experience, wandered over carrying a coffee cup. She nudged Fiona's shoulder. "You let him walk all over you, honey." Fiona offered a faint smile. "It's fine." "No, it isn't." Brenda shook her head. "You've got to show your teeth around here. Otherwise, the Millers of the world will eat you alive." "It's fine," Fiona repeated. Her attention drifted toward the automatic entrance doors. Two men wearing heavy coats entered the lobby. Too heavy for an unusually warm October evening. Without thinking, Fiona assessed them. Gait normal. Eyes unfocused. Balance poor. College students. Drunk. No visible weapon signatures. No coordinated movement. No threat. Her shoulders relaxed. "I don't mind the yelling," she said. And she truly didn't. Dr. Miller's temper tantrums barely registered. His shouting lacked the soul-crushing terror of hearing incoming over a radio before mortar rounds began falling. His insults lacked the fear of knowing that one wrong movement could trigger an ambush. Compared to the life Fiona once lived, an arrogant physician was little more than background noise. Because Fiona Hastings wasn't simply a rookie nurse. 4 years earlier, she had been known by a different name, Operator Wraith, a combat medic attached to a highly classified special operations task force. For nearly a decade, she had operated in places that officially didn't exist. She had stitched wounds closed under machine gun fire in Iraq, She had inserted chest tubes by touch alone during moonless nights in Afghanistan. She had performed emergency airway procedures in dirt compounds while rounds snapped overhead. She had watched men die, saved others, lost sleep she would never get back. Then came Syria. An improvised explosive device destroyed a convoy she had been traveling with. The blast killed several soldiers instantly. Fiona survived. Barely. Despite suffering severe injuries herself, she dragged 3 wounded men from a burning vehicle before collapsing. The military decorated her quietly. Her records disappeared even more quietly. Officially, Fiona Hastings had spent her 20s working administrative jobs for a logistics company in Virginia. Unofficially, she carried memories she hoped never to revisit. Nursing was supposed to be retirement, a chance to save lives without bullets involved, a chance to heal people in brightly lit rooms where nobody was actively trying to kill her. So she stayed quiet, stayed invisible, let people underestimate her. It was easier that way. Hastings. A young nurse named Tyler hurried past, carrying 4 bags. "We've got a problem in Bay 6. Fiona looked up. "What happened?" "Drunk guy. Huge. Belligerent. Security's tied up downstairs." Tyler grimaced. "Trust me. Stay away from him." Fiona nodded. "Okay." Tyler disappeared around a corner. A second later, something crashed. Then came a sharp cry. Not angry, not frightened. Pain. Fiona was already moving. She crossed the department with quick, silent steps and slipped through the curtain into Bay 6. The scene registered instantly. Male, approximately 6'3", at least 250 pounds. Intoxicated, agitated, one wrist restraint already broken. A young orderly, named Maya, stood trapped against the wall. The man's fist was raised. Spit flew from his mouth as he screamed. "I said get me out of these damn restraints." Maya's face had gone white. She had nowhere to go. No time to escape. The man's shoulder rotated backward, preparing to swing. Before he could move, Fiona stepped calmly into his peripheral vision. The room suddenly felt very quiet. And for the first time that night, Fiona Hastings stopped looking like a timid rookie nurse. Fiona didn't shout. She didn't threaten. She simply stepped forward and placed a hand on the man's shoulder. "Sir," she said calmly, "take a breath." The intoxicated patient turned toward her, ready to continue his tirade. In that instant, Fiona shifted her weight and applied a precise control hold she had learned years ago during military training. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't violent. It was efficient. The man's balance disappeared. His legs buckled beneath him. Before he could crash to the floor, Fiona caught him by the collar and guided his massive frame back onto the gurney. The entire movement took less than 2 seconds. The patient blinked in confusion. His aggression vanished, replaced by dizziness and exhaustion. Within moments, he slumped against the mattress, no longer fighting. Maya stood frozen in the corner. "What? What did you do?" Fiona immediately relaxed her posture. Her shoulders rounded. The confident edge vanished from her voice. "Oh my goodness," she said with an awkward laugh. "I think he just overexerted himself." Maya stared. Fiona continued. "He probably got lightheaded when he stood up. Can you help me elevate his legs?" Sure." Maya helped despite clearly not believing a word of it. A few minutes later, Fiona returned to the nurse's station, carrying fresh charts, as though nothing unusual had happened. That was exactly how she preferred it. Invisible, forgettable, safe. Unfortunately, the universe had different plans. The shift changed from chaotic to catastrophic at exactly 2:14 a.m. The trauma radio, mounted on the wall, suddenly crackled to life. Static filled the department. Then a frantic voice broke through. "St. Jude Emergency Department. This is Chicago Fire Rescue Unit 44. We are declaring a mass casualty incident. Multi-vehicle collision on Interstate 90. Reports of an active shooter at the scene. Multiple critical patients inbound. ETA, 6 minutes. Repeat, 6 minutes. For half a second, the entire emergency department froze. Then everything exploded into motion. Brenda slammed the emergency alarm. Red warning lights flashed throughout the department. Staff members sprinted in every direction. Clear the trauma bays. Move non-critical patients. I need additional blood coolers. Call surgery now. The noise level doubled instantly. Dr. Harrison Miller stepped into the center of the chaos. Trauma bays 1 through 4, he shouted. Prepare for immediate arrivals. Despite his command voice, Fiona saw something many others missed. Fear. His hands were already shaking. For Fiona, the effect was exactly the opposite. A familiar calm settled over her. Her breathing slowed. Her pulse steadied. The civilian hospital around her faded. For the first time in years, she felt the same cold focus that had carried her through battlefield medicine. Mass casualty, limited time, multiple critical patients. Her mind automatically shifted into triage mode. The ambulance bay doors burst open. Paramedics flooded inside. Blood-streaked stretchers rolled across the floor. Patients screamed. Monitors shrieked. EMTs shouted rapid-fire reports. Male, approximately 35. Multiple gunshot wounds to chest and abdomen. Glasgow Coma Scale 8. Blood pressure 70, systolic and falling. The stretcher slammed into Trauma Bay 1. Dr. Miller moved to the bedside. Transfer on 3. The team shifted the patient onto the trauma bed. The moment Fiona saw him, she knew they were running out of time. The man's breathing was shallow and desperate. His lips carried a bluish tint. Blood soaked the sheets beneath him. More concerning was what she saw above the chest. His neck veins were bulging. His trachea appeared slightly displaced. Every breath looked harder than the last. The cardiac monitor began producing increasingly erratic tones. Miller stared at the wound. "We need a chest tube tray." A nurse sprinted toward the supply cabinet. Fiona never took her eyes off the patient. The signs were unmistakable. Air was trapped inside the chest cavity. Pressure was building around the lung and major vessels. The man's heart was being squeezed. He didn't have minutes. He might not even have one. "Dr. Miller." Her voice cut through the noise. Calm, steady, controlled. "We need immediate decompression." Miller didn't look up. "Give me the tray." "The patient is crashing." "I said get the tray." The monitor alarm suddenly escalated. Heart rate dropping. Blood pressure falling further. Several staff members exchanged worried glances. Miller grabbed a scalpel. His hand trembled visibly. For the first time all night, panic had finally caught him. Fiona watched for one more second. Then she realized the truth. If someone didn't act immediately, the patient was going to die, and everyone in the room was looking at the attending physician. Everyone except Fiona. She was looking at the patient.
Dr. Harrison Miller was frozen. The trauma bay had become exactly the kind of situation every emergency physician dreaded. A patient actively dying while precious seconds slipped away. The monitor screamed warnings. The patient's oxygen saturation plummeted. Blood soaked the sheets. Around the bed, nurses moved frantically, but everyone was looking toward Miller for direction. And Miller was overwhelmed. Fiona saw it immediately. Not in confidence. Panic. The sheer violence of the injuries had shattered his decision-making process. The patient didn't have time for hesitation. Fiona stepped forward. Move. The word wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Miller blinked. What? Move. Something in her voice made several people turn. The timid rookie nurse was gone. Her shoulders had straightened. Her eyes were focused.
Calm, cold, certain.
For a brief moment, Miller simply stared at her. Then Fiona was already moving. She grabbed a large bore decompression needle from the trauma cart. "No, wait," Miller started. Too late. Fiona located the proper landmark with practiced precision. Years of experience seemed to guide her hands. One swift motion. The needle entered. A rush of trapped air escaped. The effect was almost immediate. The patient's chest movement improved. His breathing became less strained. The monitor's chaotic rhythm began stabilizing. The room went silent. Several nurses stared. Tyler's mouth literally hung open. Brenda looked as if she had forgotten how to blink. Fiona didn't acknowledge any of them. She was already assessing the next problem. "Blood pressure's improving," she said calmly. Then her gaze shifted lower. The patient's leg, a soaked field dressing.
Too much blood.
Way too much blood. She cut away the ruined pant leg with trauma shears. The wound underneath was ugly. Dark blood continued pouring from deep tissue damage. The patient had likely lost a dangerous amount already. "We need hemorrhage control now." Nobody moved. Everyone was still processing what had happened. Fiona reached for a tourniquet. With efficient, practiced movements, she secured it high on the injured thigh.
Twist. Lock. Check.
The bleeding slowed dramatically. She wrote the application time on the strap. Only then did she step back. Airway improving. Chest decompressed. Major bleeding controlled. Her voice remained completely level. "He needs surgery immediately." The authority in her tone made it sound less like a recommendation and more like a battlefield briefing. "Page general surgery. Alert the operating room." Nobody argued. Several staff members immediately began carrying out her instructions, even before they realized they were doing it. Miller stared at her. His face had gone pale. "Who are you?" he finally asked. Fiona looked at him. For a second, something ancient and exhausted flickered behind her eyes. Then it disappeared. "I'm the nurse helping your patient survive." The words weren't arrogant. They were simply factual. Before Miller could respond, a loud crash echoed from the front entrance. The entire emergency department turned. One of the automatic sliding doors jumped violently on its track. A second impact followed. The door slid open with a metallic screech. 5 men entered. They didn't look threatening at first glance. Civilian clothing, outdoor jackets, worn boots, duffel bags slung over their shoulders. Yet something about them immediately changed the atmosphere. They moved differently, purposefully. Each man unconsciously watched a different section of the room. Their eyes constantly scanned exits, corners, and movement. Years of training radiated from them despite their casual appearance. Hospital security stepped forward. Frank, a retired police officer who worked nights.
"Hold up," he called.
"We're in emergency lockdown." The lead man never slowed. "Understood." His voice was calm. "We won't be long." Frank started to protest again, then stopped. Something in the group's demeanor convinced him that arguing would accomplish absolutely nothing. The 5 men continued forward, through the crowded emergency department, past frightened visitors,
Past doctors.
past nurses, straight toward Trauma Bay 1. Every head turned to watch. The leader was tall and broad-shouldered. A jagged scar crossed one eyebrow. His expression remained neutral until his eyes landed on Fiona. Then he smiled, not politely,
Proudly.
like a man finding someone he had spent years searching for. Fiona stared back. For the first time all night, genuine emotion crossed her face. Recognition, disbelief, memory. "Captain Rollins," she whispered. The man stopped. The others halted beside him. For several seconds, nobody spoke. The emergency room seemed to hold its breath. Then the captain nodded once. "Good to see you, Wraith." The name hit the room like another trauma alarm.
Wraith.
Not Fiona. Not Nurse Hastings. Wraith. The 5 men exchanged brief glances. Then, with perfect synchronization born from years of operating together, they raised their hands in a crisp military salute. Every person watching froze. Tyler looked completely stunned. Brenda's hand covered her mouth. Even the paramedics had stopped moving. The captain never lowered his gaze. "We heard rumors," he said. "Stories about a nurse in Chicago who never panicked." A faint grin appeared beneath his beard. "Figured there couldn't be 2 people like that." One of the men behind him laughed softly. "Turns out the rumors were right." The trauma bay became utterly silent. Only the steady beeping of the cardiac monitor remained. Fiona stood motionless. Blood stained her gloves, her scrubs, her sleeves. The disguise she had carefully maintained for years suddenly felt paper-thin. Slowly, she straightened. The nervous slouch disappeared. The hesitant posture vanished. The woman who emerged looked nothing like the shy rookie everyone thought they knew. She stood taller,
Sharper.
every movement carried confidence forged under impossible circumstances. Around her, doctors, nurses, and paramedics stared as though they were meeting an entirely different person. Perhaps they were, because for the first time since arriving at St. Jude Medical Center, Fiona Hastings wasn't pretending to be someone else. And everyone in the room could see it.
Put your hands down, Cap. Fiona's voice no longer carried the soft, apologetic tone the hospital staff knew so well. It was crisp, commanding, the voice of someone accustomed to being obeyed in life-or-death situations. Captain Eric Rollins lowered the salute, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Your cover's already blown, Wraith. Fiona sighed. You flew all the way here just to make sure of that. Not exactly. The amusement vanished from Rollins' expression. His eyes hardened. We didn't come to bring you a fruit basket. Across the trauma bay, Dr. Harrison Miller finally found his voice. What is the meaning of this? The attending physician stepped forward, attempting to regain some authority. This is a secured medical facility. You cannot simply walk in here and take over. I am calling security and the police. One of the operators, a massive man everyone had heard called Brick, moved forward. He didn't threaten Miller. He didn't need to. His sheer presence made the doctor stop mid-sentence. I wouldn't waste your time, Doc, Brick said evenly. Why not? Because the situation outside is already bigger than hospital security. The room grew quiet. Fiona felt a knot form in her stomach. She turned back to Rollins. What aren't you telling me? The captain looked toward the patient, lying unconscious on the trauma bed. Your patient isn't just some random victim. Fiona followed his gaze. The injured man looked ordinary enough. Middle-aged, pale, barely hanging on. Who is he? Arthur Pendleton. The name clearly meant nothing to anyone else in the room. Rollins continued. Former defense contractor. Whistleblower. He's scheduled to testify tomorrow regarding a major corruption investigation. The realization settled over Fiona immediately. The accident, the timing, the violence. None of it felt random anymore. The crash wasn't an accident, she said. Rollins nodded. We believe it was deliberate. A murmur spread through the nurses and physicians gathered nearby. Dr. Miller stared in disbelief. You're serious? We don't have the luxury of joking. The captain unfolded a hospital floor plan across a nearby counter. We intercepted information suggesting the people responsible believe Pendleton survived. And Fiona asked, and they may attempt to finish the job. The trauma bay became silent. Even the monitors seemed quieter. Miller let out a nervous laugh. This is ridiculous. Nobody joined him. He looked around the room. You're talking about assassins. In a hospital. We're talking about a credible threat, Rollins replied. This isn't a movie. No, Fiona said quietly. It isn't. Miller shook his head. This is insane. Fiona stepped toward him, not aggressively, but with enough certainty that he immediately stopped talking. For the first time, he truly saw her. Not the timid rookie, not the quiet nurse who absorbed every insult. Someone else. Someone far more dangerous. Harrison. Her voice was calm. Steady. Look around. He did. The blood-covered trauma bay. The frightened nurses. The operators, who clearly weren't frightened at all. The patient who had nearly died minutes earlier. What if they're right? Fiona asked. Miller swallowed. What if they're wrong? He countered. Then we lose nothing by preparing. The doctor had no answer. Fiona turned toward Brenda. The veteran charge nurse was already waiting. Years of emergency medicine had taught her how to recognize leadership, and right now there was only one leader in the room. "What do you need?" Brenda asked. Fiona didn't hesitate. "Begin emergency lockdown procedures." Brenda nodded. "Done." "Move patients away from exterior entrances. Relocate anyone stable to the most protected interior sections of the hospital." Brenda was already moving before Fiona finished speaking. Within seconds, she disappeared into the hallway. The emergency department erupted into controlled motion. Nurses began relocating patients. Staff members secured doors. Phones rang. Orders spread. The panic that had threatened to overwhelm the department transformed into purpose. Rollins stepped beside Fiona. Perimeters being checked. "Any contact with local law enforcement?" He shook his head. "Communications are unreliable." Fiona frowned. "Security cameras?" "No access." For a moment, neither spoke. The reality of the situation settled over both of them. They were operating with limited information, limited time, and a hospital full of civilians. "Just like old times," Rollins said quietly. Fiona almost laughed. Almost. Instead, she looked down at her blood-stained scrubs. A few hours earlier, she had been charting vital signs and avoiding attention. Now, the life she had spent 4 years running from was standing in front of her, waiting. She accepted the protective vest Rollins handed her. For a moment, she stared at it. Then she slipped it on over her oversized scrubs. The room watched in silence. The transformation felt symbolic. The shy rookie nurse was disappearing. Wraith was coming back. And judging by the look in Rollins' eyes, she was going to be needed.
Fiona racked the slide of the Glock, the motion automatic, clean, practiced, and almost unconscious. The emergency room around her was bright, sterile, and loud in the way only hospitals could be. Constant monitors, overlapping voices, the distant clatter of carts. But in her mind, it mapped instantly into something else entirely.
Choke points.
Sight lines. Entry vectors.
Not Syria.
Not a desert. Still a battlefield. "They'll come through the main lobby or the south stairwell," she said quietly, eyes moving as if she were reading an invisible overlay across the room. "They'll cut power before breach. Disorient staff.
Control site."
As if on cue, the lights flickered once. Then again. Then died. The ER dropped into sudden darkness, broken only by the thin glow of red exit signs and the soft green pulse of medical monitors that still ran on backup power. The atmosphere changed instantly, confusion turning to fear, voices rising, footsteps stumbling in the dark. Somewhere down the corridor, a scream cut through the noise. "Night vision on," Rollins ordered. Metal clicked in unison. Operators lowered their NVGs, and their perception shifted. Human silhouettes replaced by sharp green outlines in the dark. "I don't have nods," Fiona said, adjusting her grip. "But I don't need them." She didn't look afraid. She looked focused. "I know this floor." A voice crackled from the hallway. "South stairwell, breach confirmed. Multiple contacts inbound." Then came the impact. The reinforced doors at the south wing blew open with a violent crack, smoke rolling into the corridor like a living thing. Heavy footsteps followed, measured, disciplined. 6 figures emerged through the haze in tight formation, weapons raised, lasers cutting faint red lines through the smoke. Professional, not criminals, not improvisers, operators. "Welcome to Chicago," Fiona muttered. They moved forward, scanning. The lead operator turned toward the trauma bay, tracking the sound of a heart monitor beeping steadily behind a curtain. That was the mistake. Fiona stepped out from the shadow of the nurse's station. The first collision was immediate and brutal. The lead man never fully saw her coming, just motion, sudden and close. He went down hard in the confusion of impact, his formation breaking for a split second. "Contact," someone shouted. The corridor erupted. Gunfire cracked through the ER, deafening in the enclosed space. Glass exploded from monitors. Medical carts buckled under impacts. The clean lines of the hospital dissolved into chaos, smoke, sparks, and shouting overlapping into one continuous roar. Fiona moved low, fast, using the environment more than force. She slid behind the triage desk as rounds tore through the wall above her. Concrete chips sprayed into the air. Cover left. Rollins called from somewhere above. Controlled bursts answered him. Precise, disciplined return fire from an elevated position that the attackers hadn't fully identified yet. One of the advancing operators hesitated, just long enough for the corridor to shift in momentum. Fiona didn't wait. She grabbed what she could from the station, a heavy medical device, and hurled it into the chaos as a distraction, forcing movement, forcing reaction. The attackers adjusted, breaking formation to avoid the disruption. "Brick, now," she shouted. From behind a flipped gurney, Brick slammed into a nearby utility control, triggering a cascade failure in the corridor systems. Sprinklers burst overhead. Water poured down in sheets, soaking the floor, turning polished tile into a reflective, unstable surface. The attackers pushed forward anyway. That was when the balance shifted again. A sudden surge of energy from an improvised trap triggered in the flooded corridor, lights sparking, systems overloading in a violent chain reaction. The front two operators staggered as their advance broke apart, forced to retreat from the spreading electrical hazard. "Two down," someone called. "Keep moving." Fiona snapped. She rose from cover, firearm up. The next exchange was fast, controlled bursts, suppressive fire, glass fracturing into glittering fragments across the corridor walls. One attacker went down behind a toppled cart. Another stumbled into a partition and didn't get back up. The remaining operator broke formation. He sprinted straight toward the trauma bay, toward the patient, toward the doctor standing frozen in the doorway, caught between instinct and paralysis, hands half raised as if that alone could stop what was coming. Time narrowed. Fiona moved. A single shot cracked through the room. The operator stopped mid-motion, momentum collapsing out of him as he fell out of frame and into silence. The corridor, seconds ago alive with violence, suddenly felt too large, too empty. Only smoke, alarms, and the distant echo of systems struggling to recover. Dr. Miller stood rigid for a moment longer, breathing hard, disoriented, not fully understanding what had just happened. Then he slowly lowered his hands. And the emergency room, for the first time in minutes, stopped moving like a battlefield and started sounding like a hospital again. A precise wound appeared at the center of his throat, and he dropped to his knees, clawing at his neck before collapsing face first onto the linoleum. Fiona stood in the doorway, Glock still raised, a wisp of smoke curling from the barrel. Her expression was cold and unreadable like carved stone. She lowered the weapon and stepped over the body, checking Pendleton vitals on the battery-powered monitor. Heart rate steady at 85, Fiona reported mechanically. Patient stable. Emergency generators finally engaged, flooding the ER with harsh, white light. The room revealed its damage, shattered glass, bullet-scarred walls, and soaked floors. Rollins, Brick, and Wyatt emerged from the smoke, weapons lowered, but still scanning. "Clear," Rollins said. "Clear," Wyatt echoed. Fiona cleared the chamber of her Glock, engaged the safety, and handed it back to Rollins. "Thanks for the loan, Cap." Rollins studied her. "You have not lost your edge, Wraith. The Pentagon was wrong to let you go." "I did not walk away," Fiona said quietly. "I crawled out of it. I was trying to escape." "You can remove the medic from war, but not war from the medic," Rollins said. He placed a velvet box into her hands. "The Pentagon could not present this publicly," he said. "But we wanted you to have it. You earned it in Syria and again tonight." Fiona opened the box. Inside lay a Navy cross gleaming on black velvet. Sirens rose in the distance. Jamming signals had dropped and law enforcement was closing in. "We need to move," Brick said. "Feds will breach soon." Rollins nodded. "Take care, Wraith." With a final salute, they vanished into the loading dock shadows. Fiona remained alone in the ruined trauma bay. She slipped the box into her scrub pocket and wiped her hands with a clean towel. Dr. Miller crawled out from under the sink, soaked and shaking. He looked at the aftermath, then at Fiona, realizing how mistaken he had been. Fiona picked up a clipboard, her voice soft and controlled. "Dr. Miller," she said, "we will need statements and Bay for still needs labs." She walked away, leaving him behind. The hospital would never forget that night, and neither would the staff, who once mistook silence for weakness. Rumors spread through St. Jude Medical like ink in water about the quiet nurse who moved like a ghost through violence and never raised her voice unless it mattered. Most who had dismissed her before now avoided her gaze entirely. Dr. Miller never again spoke to her without hesitation or respect. The image of that night stayed burned into his mind. Fiona continued her work as if nothing had changed, but everyone knew it had. In quiet moments, she felt the weight of what she had become, not pride, not regret, just necessity. Outside, sirens faded into the city noise. Chicago moved on, unaware of what had passed through its doors, but inside those walls something had shifted permanently. Fiona knew the truth better than anyone else. In the days that followed the incident, the hospital attempted to explain what had happened, but no official report captured the full reality of the event. Security footage was classified and witness statements conflicted with each other. What remained consistent was Fiona's calm presence at the center of it all. She was neither celebrated nor condemned in any official capacity, but in every corridor, she walked. Silence followed her like respect and fear. The legend of Wraith persisted beyond paperwork, beyond jurisdiction, and beyond explanation. Rollins and his team never spoke of the operation again. They disappeared back into the world they came from, as if nothing had changed. Fiona remained in Chicago, continuing her shift work, tending to patients who would never know what had unfolded around them. But every so often when the lights flickered, she paused for a fraction of a second, as if remembering exactly who she used to be. But she never stopped working because people still needed saving, and that was the only truth she allowed herself to keep.